a Nazi tunnel in a volcano in the middle of this town. It's a tunnel! Are you kidding me? Oh my God, look at this place.
Josh Gates turned on the camera designed for the darkest tunnels hidden beneath the earth, ready to reveal secret German structures from World War II. The team's hearts are racing as they get closer to a major underground discovery. Tune in as the camera reveals more than just empty space. Will it uncover forgotten tools, hidden passages, or something far more chilling? What's about to be revealed is far more shocking than expected, and this discovery is just the tip of the iceberg. The borehole discovery. The camera starts its descent into the shadows. The tension builds as the team watches the footage reveal the underground in real time. The camera soon reaches the end of the piping system, where it shows something unexpected, a simple borehole. The team acknowledges they have moved beyond the pipes, entering an area of raw, untouched earth. What lies beyond this untouched earth will change everything. As the camera moves further into the underground, more of the landscape is revealed. By now, they are about 2/3 into the journey. The suspense is palpable as one of the expedition leaders, Sebastian, hints at what might be found. The exploration suddenly comes to an abrupt halt when a passage is discovered. This unexpected find causes a ripple of amazement through the group. The team soon realizes that they have uncovered something extraordinary. Before them lies a tunnel, complete with rail tracks, an unexpected and significant discovery.
It's a minecart. It's a huge tunnel. This is an absolutely astounding view.
The tracks were likely used for carts, a relic from a time long past. This tunnel, believed to have been constructed during World War II by the Nazis, had been hidden for decades. Now, with the camera's help, it was once again brought into the light, offering proof that old historical maps were not just relics of the past, but valuable tools that pointed to real underground structures. Yet this was not the most surprising part. The sheer size of the tunnel astonished the team. As Sebastian led them deeper into the earth, they began to grasp the vastness of the ongoing excavation project. The construction surrounding them was part of this massive effort. The team had been working tirelessly to prove the maps accurate, and now their dedication was paying off as each step revealed more of the underground complex. As they ventured deeper, the group encountered a stone wall that stretched from the ground to the ceiling. It was clear that this wall had been carefully constructed to hide something or perhaps someone. The discovery gave the mission a more serious tone.
So the big tunnel with the minecart is past this wall.
Yes.
So for 30 feet, there's been stacked stones being pulled out of here?
The stones were removed cautiously, and with each one taken down, the possibility of uncovering long-buried secrets grew. Beyond the stone wall, the tunnel appeared relatively stable, which was a relief. However, as they continued deeper, signs of decay became evident. The ground was muddy and the tunnel's support structures were deteriorating, showing decades of neglect. There was a constant threat that the tunnel could collapse, but sections reinforced with steel beams provided some comfort. But this wasn't the worst part. As the team pressed on, they discovered remnants of the tunnel's past. Scattered throughout were tools, old pickaxes, shovels, and broken equipment abandoned long ago. These tools were a stark reminder that this tunnel had been a construction site during World War II, possibly built by forced labor. It was a somber discovery highlighting the atrocities that occurred during the war. In Poland alone, over 450 labor and extermination camps were established, and the names of places like Auschwitz and Treblinka are etched deeply into the memory of history. The tunnel now represented more than just an underground structure. It was a symbol of Poland's difficult and painful past. As the team moved through the deteriorating passageways and followed old electrical cables, they came across various intersections.
And we've got a 4-way intersection here. We can go to here.
Each turn presented new choices, each path revealing different parts of history while carrying its own risks. The exploration continued, but the discoveries only deepened the mystery. At one point, the team stumbled upon an unfinished passage. There, abandoned drill bits and tools painted a picture of a sudden halt in the construction. It was as though the workers had simply vanished, leaving everything behind. The unfinished section seemed frozen in time, creating an eerie atmosphere that left a lasting impression on the team. But the hardest part was yet to come. The deeper they went, the more they realized that this tunnel held stories of suffering and struggle. It wasn't just a physical structure, it was a place that bore witness to human hardship. The thought weighed heavily on the team, and they understood that their discoveries carried a responsibility to preserve this history for future generations. Sebastian envisioned transforming the site into a museum, a place where people could come to learn about the past. The tunnel, once hidden and used for labor under terrible conditions, could soon become a place of reflection and education. It would be a reminder of both the strength of the human spirit and the dark periods of history that should never be forgotten. Yet the most difficult decision still awaited the team. With the tunnel only partially explored, it became clear that much more remained hidden. There were paths left undiscovered, choices still to be made about which direction to take. Each decision carried the weight of potential discovery, but also the risk of danger. The old maps that had once served as guides now raised more questions than they answered, and every step forward felt like a step deeper into an unresolved past. As the team prepared to leave the tunnel, they couldn't help but reflect on how much more there was still to uncover. The exploration had revealed incredible discoveries, but it had also hinted at so much more. What other secrets were waiting to be found? What other stories of the past lay buried just out of reach? Each unanswered question lingered in the air, pushing the team to think about what future explorations might reveal. In the end, the journey wasn't just about uncovering physical structures or artifacts. It was about connecting with history and understanding the weight of the past. The tunnel, hidden for so long, now stood as a symbol of resilience in the search for truth, a reminder that the past still has many stories left to tell. After revealing the hidden tunnel, the team turns to a sunken ship with lost treasures waiting to be found. The luxury of steam. In the early 1800s, steam engines were revolutionizing travel. Before this invention, crossing the ocean could take weeks, but now steamships made the journey much quicker, just a matter of days. However, only the wealthy could afford this luxury. One such ship, the SS Pulaski, set sail from Savannah, Georgia on a warm evening in June of 1838. This wasn't just an ordinary ship. The Pulaski was a cutting-edge steamer, carrying wealthy passengers who were headed north for a cooler summer vacation, along with all their expensive belongings. About 30 miles off the coast of North Carolina, disaster struck. An explosion ripped through the Pulaski, destroying the ship's side wheels and breaking it apart. In a matter of minutes, the once magnificent ship became a sinking wreck. The people on board who survived the blast could only watch helplessly as the ship disappeared beneath the waves. Tragically, nearly 130 people lost their lives. The tragedy was so great that some later called it the Titanic of the South. For almost 200 years, no one could find the exact location of the wreck. Then recently, a team of experts using modern technology found what they thought was the Pulaski's boiler. This exciting discovery kicked off a new mission to find the rest of the wreck. But there was more at stake than just the wreck itself. It was rumored that the ship had been carrying treasure. Rare coins now worth over $20 million. So we set out on a mission, heading 40 miles off the coast of North Carolina. We used advanced sonar technology to scan a 3-mile-wide area on the ocean floor, looking for any clues. After some time, we identified 2 spots that seemed promising, and our hopes soared. Could this finally be the resting place of the SS Pulaski? As we descended into the deep ocean, the excitement in the air was palpable. But the water was murky, and it was difficult to see much. Every meter down brought a mix of hope and doubt. Then out of the gloom, we saw it. A large structure clearly made by human hands. It was a significant piece of the Pulaski, much larger than anything we had found before. Up until now, the only part of the ship we had located was the exploded boiler, but this find hinted that we might have discovered the main engine and maybe even more of the ship's remains. But this wasn't the most surprising part. As we explored these ancient ruins, untouched since they sank nearly 200 years ago, I was struck by the significance of what we were witnessing. The Pulaski had been a marvel of its time, representing the height of steam-powered technology. With the storm looming above us and time running out, we quickly got to work. Metal detectors started beeping, signaling the presence of something metallic on the ocean floor. Could it be the treasure everyone had been talking about for years? Our first major find was a U.S. gold coin from 1836. Its original value was only $5, but today it's worth tens of thousands depending on its condition.
Man, we found a gold coin!
Yes, yes!
Unbelievable!
This discovery re-energized us, and we quickly expanded our search. Soon we were finding more and more items, each one a glimpse into the lives of the wealthy passengers who had been on board. But things were about to get even better. Over the next few days, we unearthed 33 more gold coins and nearly 100 silver coins. In total, our team recovered over 700 coins and numerous personal items from the passengers. Each discovery felt like uncovering a lost piece of history, bringing the story of the Pulaski and its passengers back to life. Yet the value of these finds wasn't just monetary. These items painted a picture of the lives that were tragically lost that night in 1838. Many of the people on board were wealthy, enjoying the luxuries of the time, but in the end, they were all victims of a terrible disaster. But even this wasn't the hardest part to confront. After our expedition, I visited a small churchyard on Edisto Island in South Carolina. Here stood a modest monument honoring the people who had perished when the Pulaski sank. Among the names on the monument were those of children, heartbreaking reminders of the young lives that were cut short. Their stories, along with those of all the other passengers, remain forever tied to the wreckage at the bottom of the sea. This expedition wasn't just about finding treasure or artifacts, it was about piecing together the human stories behind the tragedy. In the end, our discoveries brought a measure of closure to a nearly forgotten chapter in history. The SS Pulaski and its passengers, once lost to the depths, are now remembered, their stories no longer buried in the ocean but brought to light for future generations to reflect upon. Following the Pulaski's discovery, the crew now focuses on finding a missing World War II plane near Anacapa Island. A worldwide two-plane off Anacapa. Josh Gates is on a mission to find an Avenger torpedo bomber that went missing after it collided with another plane near Anacapa Island. Recently, historian Colin Colburn found a crucial eyewitness account that pinpoints where the plane might have sunk. This new information suggests that the aircraft could be about 400 yards from the shore, assuming the directions are right. By starting here, Josh can check if the eyewitness details hold up, especially when compared to Buckley's aircraft, another wreck that's already known. This exploration kicks off by looking at the wreck that's already been found. It's a chance to match historical stories with what's actually underwater. They'll check how far it is from the shore and its position relative to the lighthouse against the Coast Guard's records. Also, they'll look at the tail damage on the plane to see if it matches what Buckley described about the crash. This could give more clues about how the plane disappeared. But this wasn't the worst part. Armed with information from the known wreck, Josh and his team, including folks from Project Recover, set sail on the Shearwater, a 62-foot catamaran that's built for marine research. This boat is designed by the National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Administration and serves as their base as they aim for the coordinates of the known Avenger wreck. On board, Josh talks with the co-founders of Project Recover and other experts, like Heidi, a data analyst, and Drew, the lead archaeologist. They confirm the location of the Avenger below them, matching it with historical reports.
Anacapa Island right here, and there's our lighthouse.
So the report puts the wreck at 300-degree bearing. We see that the bearing lines up almost perfectly to what the historical report is telling us.
However, some issues with how far it is from the lighthouse mean they need to tweak their search area for the missing bomber. As they adjust their plans, the anticipation builds. Next, the team uses photogrammetry, a method that involves overlapping high-resolution photos to make a 3D model of the underwater wreck. This model helps visualize the aircraft as it is now and helps figure out how the plane might have hit the water from the damage they see. But there's more to uncover. Josh then dives into the cold water, aware of the limited time he has to avoid decompression sickness. This dive is crucial. Every minute matters as he looks for the missing aircraft. Down below, the quiet of the ocean floor is broken only by the sight of a lone crab. Once Josh is back on the surface, they start to analyze the photos he took. They'll digitally stitch these together to create a detailed 3D model of the known wreck. This model is key for a forensic look that might explain how the crash happened and how the plane sank. It also turns historical reports into something real and touchable. The team also remembers the historical importance of the site. The wreck isn't just where military equipment was lost, it also remembers those who served on that plane. Notably, the tail gunner didn't make it, and the damage to the back of the cockpit is a stark reminder of the human cost of war. This wasn't just another dive. Through this detailed work, new details come to light about the crash and what might have happened to the planes involved. The 3D model shows specific damage that could explain how the aircraft ended up where it did. The real-life damage seen on the wreck often tells a different story than what's recorded, given the confusion common in wartime. As the day moves on, the team keeps refining their search strategy, using what they've learned from the known wreck. The way the wreckage lies low on the seafloor shapes their expectations and methods for finding similar sites in their search for the lost bomber. This journey doesn't just bring them closer to finding the missing Avenger, it also deepens their connection to the past, linking historical records with the physical remains on the ocean floor. This expedition is full of technical challenges and discoveries from history, unraveling a story lost in the depths of World War II. But the search is far from over. As they analyze the wreck, new details emerge, connecting them to the story of those who once flew the plane. Tracking down history. Josh and his team were on a mission to solve a long-standing mystery. They were searching for an old warplane, an Avenger torpedo bomber that vanished off the coast of Anacapa Island during World War II. It was believed the plane crashed after colliding with another. Josh was determined to uncover the truth and find this forgotten piece of history. Their breakthrough came when historian Colin Colburn found a witness account that gave a clue to where the plane might be. According to the account, the plane could be resting just a few hundred yards offshore, possibly still lying on the ocean floor after all these years. With this new lead in hand, the team made a plan. They decided to test the accuracy of the witness reports by first finding another wreck nearby. Buckley's plane, one of the pilots involved in the collision. This would serve as a starting point to see if the witness's details about distances and directions were reliable. The goal was simple: compare the damage on Buckley's wreck with what was described in the crash reports. Josh and his team boarded a 62-foot research boat called Shearwater, which was specially designed for exploring the waters around Anacapa Island. Eric Terrell, co-founder of Project Recover, joined them along with experts like Heidi, the data analyst, and Andrew, the lead archaeologist. Their plan was to use advanced technology like photogrammetry, which would allow them to create a detailed 3D model of the wreck by taking hundreds of photos underwater. When they arrived at the site of Buckley's wreck, the team realized something was off. While they were in the right area, based on the lighthouse coordinates, the distance from shore didn't match the original reports. The reports had said the wreck was only about 100 yards from the lighthouse, but in reality, they were nearly 1,800 yards away. This wasn't a huge surprise. Records from wartime were often full of errors, especially when measured in the chaos of battle. But that wasn't the worst part. As Josh prepared to dive, they knew the wreck lay deep, about 120 feet down. The water was cold, visibility was low, and he didn't have much time before he would need to surface to avoid decompression sickness. Every second counted. Josh descended into the murky water, the seafloor looking empty and desolate. For a moment, he wondered if they were too far from the wreck, but suddenly he felt something under his fingers. It was the wreckage of Buckley's plane. Both wings were still attached, and the fuselage, though damaged from years underwater, was still recognizable. It was a remarkable discovery, considering how long it had been lost. Josh began taking photographs from every angle, knowing that these images would later be stitched together to create a detailed 3D model. But even though the discovery was amazing, this wasn't the most critical moment. Josh needed to examine the wreck carefully, especially the tail section where Buckley's plane had been hit during the collision. Time was running out, and every photo he took could be key to understanding the crash. As Josh continued to document the wreck, he couldn't help but think about the history behind it. This was more than just a rusty old plane. It was a memorial to the people who had flown it. The pilot and the radio man had survived the crash, but the tail gunner, Lawrence Works, had died. All that remained of his turret was a faint impression in the rear of the plane. Josh felt the weight of this as he took the last few photos and prepared to surface. Back on the boat, Josh reflected on the experience. Hearing the story of these two Avenger bombers and their collision was one thing, but seeing the wreckage up close made it real. It was no longer just a story from a history book. This was a physical reminder of the past, lying quietly beneath the ocean. The team was eager to analyze the data they had gathered, and Heidi got to work processing the photographs into a 3D model. But the excitement wasn't over yet. A few hours later, the team gathered in the cabin to view the results. The model was sharp and detailed, showing the wreck with stunning clarity. The wreck that had been lost for decades now had a new life, at least digitally. This new model didn't just help them understand Buckley's wreck, it also offered vital clues about the other lost Avenger they were still searching for. Finding Buckley's wreck was an important step, but it wasn't the end of the journey. Now, the team had to compare the data they had collected with the historical records. This painstaking process would help them piece together the final moments of the second Avenger's flight. It was slow work, but they were optimistic that this discovery would guide them to their next target. But remember, this wasn't just about finding planes. Every discovery brought them closer to uncovering the stories behind these long-lost relics. As they looked at the detailed "Thanks for watching." Now, what do you think? Is it right to disturb such wrecks, or should they be left untouched as memorials? Like, comment, and subscribe for more exciting explorations.